Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel for the Incessant Bookworm. So today I realized that we are about 3/4 through the year, and if you haven't seen my mid-year check-in freak out book tag, I suggest you check that out. I'll put that up in the tag above. But I thought, okay, I did a halfway through point of different books that I was excited about reading, ones that I loved already, ones that I've been putting off. I thought I'd share my 5-star reads from what I rated on Goodreads of the books I've read so far this year. So, right, we're at the end of September, beginning of October, last quarter of the year, last push for books that you want to read. But again, I love reflecting, as I talked about in my What Should I Read Next podcast episode with Anne Bogle or Modern Mrs. Darcy, of ones that I'm looking forward to, but also reflecting back on what I've learned and the things I've appreciated about the books I've read so far this year. So let's take a look at what those are. And also, if you haven't already checked out my social media channels, so mainly Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I also have Pinterest too, so feel free to check those out for more bookish content that you won't find here. First book we have is What Kind of Woman by Baer, and this is a poetry collection. So this was sent to me by Harper Perennial as an advanced review copy. So this doesn't come out until November, but I read this in one night. And poetry, yes, is a little bit quicker because it's usually shorter stanzas, but that means you need to read into it a little bit more, into the depth of it, even though it might be simpler language. So I did read it in a night, but I reread a bunch of poems that really stood out to me or I wanted to dig into a little bit more. So I'd already shared this in, I believe it was my This Week in Books episode or video a few weeks ago, but I wanted to bring it up again because this was definitely a 5-star read. I wrote the review just about in that night that I had finished it because I had already had some great positive emotions towards it and great thoughts about womanhood, about being an empowered woman and just strong and independent. So that I really appreciated. And these poems range from motherhood to friendship to being a wife, being a woman in business. So it spans the gamut and I really appreciate that. Next we have Uncommon Type by Tom Hanks, and this surprised me. I mean, I don't know how many books I've read by like famous actors that aren't like necessarily autobiographies or like memoirs or anything, but this is not like that at all. It's a bunch of short stories where the main subject or maybe a point in the short story has to do with the typewriter. So it might be the whole story's about the typewriter, or there might be little subtleties of type. And I really love that. It was kind of like a Where's Waldo kind of thing, where when I'm reading through the story, I'm paying attention to the story, but I'm also in the back of my mind wondering, where's the typewriter going to show up? And it's cool because it has different models or different versions of it from years past to more modern ones. So that I thought was really good. And I haven't really read too many short story collections, but it's a pretty quick read because you can just read a couple short stories a night and then move on to the next thing. But I even highlighted in here, I don't know if I can find it. Oh, wow, I just turned to it. Like I highlighted every time I saw the word typewriter. So I don't know, I just thought that was a cool kind of like find throughout it. So this I also gave 5 stars. Next, we have Verity by Colleen Hoover. So this, I feel like I've talked about so much. Colleen Hoover, first of all, I love her books. She's probably the most read author I have besides like the Harry Potter series or Outlander, but these books, they're not connected, so I think that's a little bit different. But this is very different from any of her novels that she's written before, at least the ones that I've read. It's still kind of like romance in there, but it's also like a psychological thriller, since Verity is the name of the woman. She's the wife of Jeremy Crawford, who she's also a writer, and I can't remember what, I think she was like in a car accident or something, and she doesn't talk, and she's immobile, so she's kind of in bed and like non-responsive. So they're looking for, or Jeremy's looking for, an author or ghostwriter, and in comes Lowen, who comes into the home to like learn more about the wife through her work, her writings, and it becomes kind of spooky, kind of haunted, and it's a crazy, crazy story. Like, I was blown away. And psychological thrillers, I used to, well, I guess I still like them on audiobooks because like the speed of it, the creepiness of the narrator's voice really gets to me, but this was cool to read, and kind of like quicken my pace as I'm reading and scanning the words, but trying not to look ahead. I know I can be guilty of that sometimes, but I try not to with this one. So edge of your seat, unbelievable, but amazing story. So 5 out of 5 too. Next, we have The Art of Racing in the Rain by Garth Stein. So I should preface this, I'm not a huge fan of talking animals or like commercials with like animals or babies that speak. I used to hate those commercials for Super Bowl Sunday. I was like, ugh, these are terrible. But this is a little bit different. Plus the dog is the main narrator, but he is not speaking. You just hear his inner monologue or inner thoughts. So that I thought I was okay with. So I was skeptical at first, but as I was reading it, it's really cool to see his loyalty to his owner. And when his owner gets married, has kids or has a kid, and kind of like the trials they face together. And the man, I can't remember the owner's name, but he's also a race car driver. So that kind of throws in some elements of danger, risk, stress and anxiety for the dog and for the wife. So it's really cool to see kind of like the lifespan of the dog and what kind of happens in his observations and what he's trying to communicate to both of them. But I don't know, it's kind of a unique perspective. I'm not really a dog person, but I still enjoyed this narration for sure. Next up, I have Expectation by Anna Hope. So this copy I had mailed to one of my friends in Colorado, and this I wrote a review on, and it's about these 3 women who kind of meet when they're younger, and then we see them go into their mid-30s, late 30s, and I appreciated it because it spoke to a lot of my thoughts and feelings about being 30. I'm turning 31 in a couple of months, and a lot of what they're going through, I've thought about. So I mean, one of them, she's a mother. Another one is kind of figuring out what her purpose is. So I don't know, a lot of thoughts that I've had about like where I'm supposed to be at this time. Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing or what society tells me I should be doing by the time I'm 30, 31? So it kind of pushes those boundaries a little bit, but also talks through what that looks like in a friendship and where everybody's kind of in a different spot, but they're the same age. So I really liked that one. And it was a quick read, again, sent to me by Harbor Perennial for advanced review copy. The last one I have is More Than Enough by Elaine Welteroth, and this I listened to on audiobook, read by the author. And Elaine, she's well known in the entertainment world. She was an editor of Teen Vogue and just really a fashion icon, I would say. But she is also biracial, and I love reading those kinds of stories and narration. So it is a memoir of her story growing up, and then her first loves, falling in love with her now husband, and what it looks like in her career as a biracial or multiracial woman. So this was recommended to me by my sister-in-law, who's also multiracial, and the author just speaks to a lot of the thoughts I've had as also a multiracial woman, what it looks like for growing up, the kind of confusion, I guess, that when I was little, when people had asked me about my hair and just things like that, that I've kind of gotten used to with people asking me, like, not necessarily what are you, but I know what they mean, or like what's your ethnicity, what's your background, like racial background or profile. So lots of stuff I'm used to, but it's interesting with her, the things that she experienced as she was climbing up the corporate ladder, being an editor and just trying to get ahead with her strength and her brains. She was very, I don't know, such like a go-getter, but a lot of opportunities she had to fight for, which just completely blows my mind. Might be because she's a female, a mixed race female. It's just a lot of things in there, but she broke a lot of boundaries, and I just appreciate her commitment to wanting to show women like me or girls like me, and then just in general that you can earn where you're going and work really hard to get there, and it should be yours. So I really appreciate that too. So that, again, I listened to on audiobook. Phenomenal. I love when those kind of stories are read by the author. It just, I think, brings it to life more and makes it more genuine. So So those are my top reads of 2020 so far. So, I mean, there are some other ones I've talked about previously on this channel, like Britt-Marie was here. So I like that one's still in there, but I didn't want to keep repeating myself. I think I talked about Verity as well, or maybe that was the one that was like most surprising or like shocking that I liked in my mid-year freak out tag. But I'm excited to see what the last quarter of the year brings. I have a few more in mind. November, I'm going to settle it down a little bit or dial it down a bit because I'll be doing more writing than reading, but I'll still be listening to some audiobooks. And then also I have to do my Read Around the World challenge, which is 2 books, one from the US and one from a different country that I'll have to do for each month anyway. So that's been really exciting. I don't know what I'm that excited for. That sounds bad. I don't know what I'm most excited for with the rest of the reads. There's so many that I need to get to, and then my book buying ban ends in October. So I'm so excited, which is bad and good at the same time, because I'm like excited to go out and get books that I've been seeing all over Twitter, Bookstagram, Goodreads, all over the place. But I know I gotta get to the ones that are on my shelf. They're slowly dwindling, which is a good sign, but it doesn't mean I need to like keep putting books on there. I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, other things that I'm excited about. I started a Ko-Fi page, or Ko-fi. I don't know how you really pronounce it. I should probably figure that out. But it's a support page, very minimal, like not trying to preach it or anything like that. But I launched that last week and just trying to figure out other ways to get you all to support me in a different kind of way, and a smaller kind of way. So feel free to check that out. I'll link that down below if you're interested. But otherwise, I am going to get some more reading done, obviously. Maybe decorate some more in the bedroom. I still have to do a bookshelf tour, but I'm like waiting for, I don't know, like I'm nervous to do it because I see all these really cool looking bookshelves and home libraries or personal libraries that I'm like, dang, I can't compete with that. But it's my space. I'm proud of it. So hopefully that's coming in the next month or so. Eventually. Don't hold your breath. I will get to it. But yeah, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate you all watching it. And also, if you'd like to give a comment, feel free to comment down below and share or subscribe if you haven't subscribed before, and to see more videos pop up into your feed. And yeah, I hope you all have a great rest of your day and happy reading.